Hello, and welcome to the Hotkeys podcast, your shortcut to various opinions on all things pop culture. This is the episode for the week of October the 18th, 2023. My name is David Parker. I am your host, and joining me this week is...
Mick Parker.
Landon Browning.
Will Dobratz.
And Colby Chapman.
Thanks for joining, everybody. We are, all five of us here are here recording together, but for the most part, we're all in different places. Will, Colby, and I...
Mick and I are here together.
Yeah, Will, Colby, and I are all...
Landon and I, the two source.
Yeah, we're the two sources.
Yeah.
You two are the only two
name,
in person, and then the rest of us are remote, so...
We're the two sorcerers.
It's also kind of late at night, so, I mean, we always say we're going to do a short episode, but then it's like an hour and a half later, and then we're still talking about, you know...
All-nighter?
Whatever.
The Cruise.
Whatever dumb movie Landon watched.
It's
so.
even later for you, Dave, isn't it?
Stop.
What time is it there for you? Like,
Stop it.
Like 12 or something?
Actually,
Daytime?
Colby is technically in a later time zone, but Arizona does not do what's it called, so it doesn't matter.
Daylight savings.
Anyway, so
Colby, I have a question.
Yeah, but
for you.
we still feel the effects over here. It's still pretty late.
I have a question for you, Colby.
yeah, because you're so
I'm
far
ready to
east.
If you could answer this honestly, Colby.
I'll do it. You know what? I'll give it my best shot.
Okay. Are you wearing any clothes?
Yes.
His
Clothes
socks,
plural?
He's got
Clothes
one
plural?
sock on.
Clothes.
Where is it?
Clothes.
Nobody knows.
Clothes singular, please.
or an article of clothing.
An article.
Okay, so you are in you're in
wearing a
Phoenix.
cloth.
You're in Phoenix, right?
What's this tail on?
For work.
Yeah.
And then
Furry
I
convention.
got my bunny ears still on.
and then
Can we talk about like a dumb Landon movie's watch? A dumb movie Landon's watched. Or
I'm
something,
trying to
anything
preface-
other than what Colby's wearing.
I'm trying to preface to the listeners that this might not be the greatest sounding episode for a bunch of reasons. But
No.
Michael wants to
just
keep
two
asking
reasons.
Colby about the sock he's wearing on his whatever.
It's more
so.
important. It's more important.
Dave.
Yeah, I'll tell you it's a sock. You guys just have to guess where.
The listeners already turned the episode off before you could explain that I was going to listen. But they're like, "Oh, the audio quality is so bad."
But Mick and Landon sound good.
Yeah, or
They sound the same.
Yeah, they sound so similar.
They sound like they're the same source.
So Colby bought a new soundboard, but he's not there to set it up. And so without his guidance and wisdom, Michael and Landon were left trying to set it up together. And because they didn't have enough headphone adapters, Will wasn't able to join in person. So
Yeah. Well, I also was late too. Like I was supposed to be here like before.
Also, to be
8:45.
noted, you set the time.
Well, yeah, I
Just
typically I
want that on the
typically do
record.
trivia on Wednesday nights from like 6:30 to 8, and this was like one of the few nights where like I didn't drive myself, and then like the person I rode with like just kept like they like wanted to talk a lot. Friend of the show, Jace, which also to be granted, he didn't know that I had a podcast to record until like before we left because I didn't want to like.
To just
You're
scream.
keeping
I didn't wanna
secrets
be
from
rude.
us?
I have to go home.
No,
how well did you guys do at trivia?
We actually tonight, so we typically it's like 5 of us playing, but my neighbors across the street couldn't play tonight, so it was just Jace, myself, and Aubrey, and
Who?
I was waiting
who's Aubrey?
for someone.
my girlfriend Aubrey, and we actually didn't. There was probably I think 9 or 10 teams, and we only came in 6th place. But 2 of the rounds, one round was 90s WWF wrestlers.
Oh no.
And another topic was country music, and that was the audio round. And we somehow like got like both those rounds. We got like 6 or 7 out of like the 11 possible points still,
Oh dang.
and that was just with 3 of us.
Jeez.
Aubrey cleaned up on country music. I did not know she knows a bunch of country
Have to
music.
break up with her now, huh?
She claimed that she's like, oh, I used to listen to country music, and I'm like, hey, it's fine if you like country music, that's okay. But like, there was like someone like it was like
I like how you had to
30
preface
seconds,
that it was fine, like oh, you
it's
know.
okay, it's fine, you know. It's not a
I know
big
most
deal.
people have a problem with it, but you know, like I don't.
Yeah,
it's fine. Like
I'm not so
How
superficial.
progressive of
Like, and then we actually, Jason and I did pretty good on the WWF wrestlers. We like knew a handful of
You've
them.
always
Some
been a
of them
big
were, like,
wrestling
easy.
guy.
Yeah. And then
when
we
I
did pretty
think
good
Landon, I
with,
think 90s WWF.
yeah. And then we did good. Round 2 was Pixar. We did pretty good on that. We got like
Ratatouille.
there was a couple tough ones. There was some newer Pixar stuff, and I'm not very familiar with like the last like 5
Yeah,
or
but
6
you know
films,
what?
so.
If you're doing a trivia night on a Wednesday night and the topic that comes up is Pixar, everyone in there is like what? A millennial who is probably like, "Oh, Pixar. Like this is my jam." Like every team probably thinks that when they hear
So, like-
Pixar is the topic.
Yeah, and then the fourth round was if we got one question right, it was like Arlo's the character from this bad Pixar movie, and like none of us knew it off the top of my head. I'm like, well, it must be like The Good Dinosaur, must be the movie because like I've heard that one sucks, so we just put that down. That was like the right answer. I was
Wait,
like, oh,
one of
sweet.
the question said bad Pixar movie.
Yeah, he spices up with his own opinions. Like
Oh, okay.
he called like what's the one Encanto or no Coco? He called Coco. Is it Coco one of them?
Yeah.
Yeah,
He called
Yeah,
that the best
yeah.
Pixar movie.
Coco is really good.
Best?
Yeah, I haven't seen that one, but he said it was the best one. I'm like,
on.
I'm like,
I think it's
Toy
good.
Story
Where's Cars 2? Come on,
2.
let's be honest.
Uh,
Of course,
But we did
3
pretty good on that
driven
round, and then the fourth round was just a wild card round. We actually did pretty good on that. So like for just 3 people, like I think we scored a 33 out of like what was most of the rounds are worth. There's 12 points total for each round, so 48 would be like the max score, and we had like 33 or 34, which I didn't think was terrible for 3 people, and 2 rounds being country music and wrestlers. When
Dang.
there's the 5 of us, we typically get around fourth or 5th out of like 10 or 12 teams.
Have you guys won yet?
You guys,
We haven't won yet at this place because there's some teams that show up with like 8 or 9 people, and they're like
They don't cut
they're
those
like
teams
like,
up.
where it's like no, and it's like it's a team of like it's clearly like it's like grandparents, kids, and then like grandkids. So it's like 3 generations worth
Oh
of like knowledge.
gosh,
And our table is like 26
a
to
bunch
like
of 26 to
33
like
is the oldest-
32-year-olds.
Yeah, so it's like we really have a very narrow like knowledge.
Hey, but you
demographic,
have
so, like,
Pixar
we're-
down, so
We actually like didn't even like 100% that round. So
oof, not a real Disney
The
fan.
one question I felt bad about was who voiced Ken in Toy Story 3.
Michael Keaton.
I said Michael Keaton at first, and then I wasn't sure because the hint was that he also played Batman. I said Michael Keaton right off the bat, and then like
Adam West.
I was like I waffled back and forth between him and George Clooney, and then we ended up going George Clooney. And I was
Clooney would have been a good pen, I think.
yeah, my first answer was Michael Keaton, and then I waffled, which you should just always go with your first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's also Chick in Cars.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Chigga. Yeah. Michael Keaton.
We did.
I knew.
Pixar villain.
I knew Duke Kaboom was
His
Keanu
mustache
Reeves,
grill.
which is pretty funny.
Yeah.
But
We did trivia last Thursday, Bree and I. It was horror trivia, and
Oh, dude.
when we
Horror
do
trivia?
the
What'd you say?
Who's your top 5 horrors?
horror trivia,
Horror.
where we do it here on base, they cap the team at like 4, so you can't have a team greater than 4, so they'll split you up, or they'll tell you to split up if you have too many people.
So Lane and I as the 2 source, we'd be good.
It would be fine.
Yes, okay.
sure.
2 swords. one
Anyway,
voice.
Bree and I, it was horror trivia, and beforehand, I was like, you know what? I have 30 minutes to kill to wait for Bree to come home. I'm gonna do a little bit of studying. So I Googled horror trivia, and I clicked.
Found the one he used.
I clicked. I think the top option, and it had these like kind of mostly obscure questions that I was like, they will not ask these kind of questions. These are going to be way too difficult. But I read through a fair amount of the questions, and I was like, you know what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to pull up a top 100 list of horror films and just start reading information about them, just to like refresh things, plot bits, year they came out, director, just little things like that. Yeah, so I went through that list of 100 movies, and then Bree got here, and then we left and went to trivia. So we get to trivia, and it's usually like 4 or 5 rounds, and then each round is 10 questions, and they'll give you a sheet. You fill out the 10 questions when they'll list them off. Then you turn in the sheet at the end of the round, and then you go pick up another paper, and you do that 5 times or whatever. So trivia starts. It's just Bree and I on a team tonight or that night, because the other people we normally have on our team, they weren't feeling very well, and they said they don't really like horror movies that well, so they're like, we probably wouldn't be much help. So it's just the 2 of us. So we start trivia, and she reads the first question, and I'm like, man, that question sounds really familiar. Like,
no way.
I felt like I just read this question, and I'm like, well, I know the answer to it. Like, I knew the answer before I, read the question online, because
What was the question?
because
What was
then the next question, I was like, no way. Did they really just
They
Google
just ripped it.
horror trivia and then basically just go down the line and pick things? So like some of the questions
I
was.
don't know anybody.
Sounds like one of my choices.
I was gonna say, I was like, man, yeah, this is like Mick trivia straight up.
How crazy would that be if the person was wearing a mask the whole time and you just ripped it off and it was my face? Like, it was me the whole time.
But
crazy.
But I mean, like, I didn't pull up the thing when I was at trivia, but like me essentially studying the questions right beforehand helped out with like I would say maybe 5 or 6 questions that I didn't have the answer to previous.
What were some of the questions?
Like some of them was how many years was it in between like It Chapter 1 and It Chapter 2 when like the monster comes back? The answer is 27. And I didn't know that.
Give Landon a chance.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. Another one is what horror, I guess, monster appears when you say his name 5 times in a row?
Freddy Krueger, right?
No, it's Candyman.
Candyman.
I didn't know that, but I read that on the thing online, 30 minutes before I went to trivia, and I retained it, and so that was a question that was on the quiz. But it
By
was,
the way, played by Tony Todd, who is also in the upcoming Spider-Man 2 game. He plays Venom.
So we should have had Michael, I guess, on the team too. But I thought that was really funny.
I'm already on a team 2.
Oh, your 2 source?
Of course.
Okay.
Two source.
But anyway, I thought that was really funny because we ended up winning trivia that night, just the 2 of us.
Nice.
Because you cheated.
No, I did not
Let's
cheat.
be honest.
You
cheated.
I
I feel like
prepared.
if the trivia
cheated.
master
Yeah.
is lazy enough to like just use like a trivia from like online, then like if you find
They
that
didn't
trivia to study,
even dig. It was the first link. Like I clicked the first link.
Did you
just
call
'cause,
him out on it?
No, I didn't.
Did you call him out on it?
No.
Oh, you should have. Why not?
Did you?
I don't want to
did
be
you
that
get
guy.
one
Why would I
wrong,
be
just,
that guy?
Throw him off.
He's just been like, I know what you did. I know what you did.
He
this guy that does the trivia at this place, he does it like 3 nights a week. Like he does it like at 3 different like brewery places, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and it's different trivia rounds and whatnot.
Well,
I think he makes them all himself. Like
I was like, I'm tempted to go to like the management of the place and go like, hey, do you want me to make quizzes for the trivia? Because like I love making them. It means I wouldn't get to participate, which would bum me out, but I get a good joy out of
These schlums over here just Googling.
like,
it.
yeah, literally Googling and then
return.
like the questions mostly too were in the same order so like they didn't even really like cherry
Didn't even
pick.
mix them up.
No, they took some of the questions out, but they didn't like change the order of them. So like afterwards, like I went back home and I pulled the thing up again and I was like, no way, I cannot believe that this is what they did.
It's not really plagiarism.
Anyway, I thought it was funny, but we did well. And there were, I mean, a lot of the questions I did already know, which felt good. But it was just
horror movies.
It was,
you know a lot of horror movies.
yeah, it was comical, just the whole situation, and we got a kick out of that. The other teams we played up against, though, they were pretty good too. So good competition.
The best part about trivia is when they're like doing the final round and like they're like listing off the teams and like what order you came in and like you're just waiting and then like when it hits second place your name's not called and you're like it's just that oh, it feels so good.
Yeah, a couple months ago though, like they did that and then they read first place and it wasn't us and I was like, well, that's weird. I felt like we did way better and I guess we didn't even place top 3. Those kind of situations.
Let me guess.
suck.
Let me guess. You didn't cheat that night.
No, Michael.
Cheaters are winners.
You're
watched.
You're doing it every week.
Yeah, it's every Wednesday.
Nice.
So at the Garland Brew Works, which is a nice little
Oh,
spot.
perfect!
Shout out.
I've been waiting
Shout
for you to tell me where you're going so I could be there.
You were invited, I think.
I'm not there to play on your team.
Will was
I'm there to make
invited.
sure you don't win.
I don't remember anything.
Colby went to the Garland one in Arizona.
Oh,
You didn't
Yeah,
specify
I was looking
what
for you.
state.
Oh yeah, I didn't specify the country where we were supposed to do trivia.
Oh, hey, whoa.
This guy does a lot of movie questions and like actor questions, and I've definitely elevated our team like since I've joined the neighborhood trivia team. Like,
What's your team name? Or do you guys do a new one every time?
we do the same one. They came up with my neighbors across the street. It's the Merkel Mutts. It's like because we live next to like Dwight Merkel, so and I don't know, they like dogs or whatever. They just pick the name every week, so it's just that one.
I've got a good trivia name.
Yeah.
What is it,
Are you
Nick?
going to tell us?
I'm going to tell you. It's words that rhyme with sandwich. That's the name.
Is it?
Anyway,
Oh.
I'll talk to you guys later.
Hey man,
Bye, everybody.
dang.
Michael is leaving Landon's apartment or Landon's house.
Standing up, it's one source.
Yeah, no one source. You guys are rough crowd.
Very sorry.
It's the lag. It's Will's internet is throwing all of us off.
Right now,
Oh yeah, I can hear Colby laughing now.
Good one, Mick.
Do you want to tell the story about us trying to do trivia, Colby?
Yeah. So about a month and a half ago now, I was in Lancaster, where it was like, I don't know. Well, Dave says it's like 40 minutes from where he lives, but like Dave lives in the middle of nowhere, and it took us forever to get there.
It's 40 minutes.
Well, it felt like 2 hours.
Well, yeah, it feels like it, but it is 40 minutes.
We're there yet.
When you don't see anything for miles, just nothing but desert.
Desert living.
Then it feels like a lot longer. It's just dead, empty. It's gross, bland. But anyway, so I'm in Lancaster. I'm visiting Dave, and I text Dave, and I was like, "Hey, we should do trivia while I'm there. I love trivia. Landon does trivia every week, and he refuses to invite me. And so,
Dude, what a horrible friend.
Dave's like, yeah, there's tons of trivia nearby, but not on the days that you're going to be here. And I didn't believe Dave, so I looked for myself, and instantly I found one at Lancaster Brewing Company. So I send Dave the link.
I didn't look hard enough.
And Dave didn't want to go, so we just didn't go, and that's the story.
Okay, that is not the story. To tell the right story.
That's how I remember it.
I don't know. That sounds pretty believable.
Am I wrong? Did you not want to go? Did you not want to go?
I did want to go.
Then why didn't we go, Dave?
Finish the story, Colby.
It's like the day of, right? Like Dave didn't. He just I guess glanced at the website and was like,
"Well, I basically was like, yeah, that's cool. Like we'll do it, sure." And I didn't look into it.
Dude, don't dismiss me. Like,
it's really hard to know who's
like,
telling the truth these days. It's really, really hard to know.
Well, I want to hear the whole story.
So it's like the day of, and I'm texting Dave. I'm like, "Hey, I'm gonna get off work about this time." Dave's like, "All right, like cool, we'll meet." And then he texted me. And I don't remember exactly what you said, but you were like, "Hey, we're not going to be able to do trivia tonight." And I was like, "Oh, why?" And you're like, "I just don't think we'll get there in time." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" Like, I hadn't looked up where it is yet, but it says, like, downtown Lancaster. I was, like, 10 minutes away. I was like, dude, we'll get there in time, right? And Dave sends me, like, the Google Maps to where it is. And it's, like, 18 hours away in Lancaster, Canada. I don't remember what province it was in, but it was, like...
I think it was Saskatchewan. I need to remember.
Oh, yeah, it was...
So you guys didn't go?
No,
we went.
How was it?
We got there late.
That's funny.
You made the last round of questions.
So instead, we just went and got some calzones, and the waiter couldn't do math, so he gave Dave like extra money because Dave like refuses to pay with card because he's an old man.
No.
And
that also is not the story.
I stand with Colby once again.
And then we got some.
It's really hard to know who's telling the truth these days.
Yes, Will.
I don't know.
He's right though. The waiter did not do his math very well, so he gave back like way too much change. So I just like gave all of it back as a tip, and then I'm not sure if like. Good. So I'm not sure if like he knew that, and like it's the way he like steals money from the restaurant. I have no idea, but he seemed really nice, so I think he just messed up the math. But Briana, Colby, and myself, all three fairly smart individuals, could not figure out how he got to the amount that he got to with the change he gave back. Like, any possible, I guess, situation didn't make any sense just based off of the numbers. Like we tried to add up things so many different ways to be like, well, maybe he thought this, and maybe he thought, but
gave back 100.
We could not, like, we couldn't figure it, right?
This was also a guy that was wearing a mask, and when it was ripped off, it was me.
Tip out.
Yeah, Michael didn't have a tip
out.
I'm everywhere, and I'm nowhere.
Like, his meal came out to like $51, let's say, and Dave pays with $60, and the dude comes back with like $18. It was like so random. Yeah, like
I got to move the decimal.
Yeah, we couldn't figure out what was going on.
It was weird. But did we ever talk about our time spent together, Dave?
Yeah, we did. We talked
I don't
about
remember.
well, we talked primarily about what's it called? Six Flags.
Oh, that's
You
right. Yeah,
wrote
yeah.
that. You told me.
Oh, Six Flags. Yeah, that dumb
Yes,
place.
Of course.
Very
Dumb?
dumb.
What?
Yeah, dumb place.
It's only
Yeah, it
dumb because I
sucked.
didn't get to go with you guys. If I had been there, it would have been
And it'd be way
Well, you
better if
didn't
there
wanna
were
go.
2 flags.
too sore.
Not Six Flags.
Oh my gosh.
That wouldn't be okay.
There were so many
Trivia
DC
game.
rides at Six Flags, Mick, so I don't know why you're poo-pooing on it because, you know, it had
Batman
no
one was
dumb
cool.
Marvel rides. It only had DC rides.
District of Columbia. Yes.
Will, you wanted to talk about Fall of House of Usher.
Please, Will,
Yes.
take us away.
Yes, I do.
Wait, hold on. I have something else to say.
No, Mick's going to say another bad joke.
When you're watching the show, I'm gonna pull my face off and it's gonna be a mask or something.
Whoa, what?
No, don't spoil the show.
No. So I want to talk about a show called The Fall of the House of Usher. It's a show by Mike Flanagan, I think is his name, right, Landon?
Yes. Yeah. Little Mike Flanagan.
It is about a very wealthy family, and they're kind of been brought to trial recently, and the attorney reveals there's like a mole in their family that is ready to spill secrets about the Usher family, and the Usher family is
They're like
always
a, they're like a
evaded.
pharmaceutical. Like they're like a mega like.
Yeah, they're a
Pharmaceutical
mega corp basically, super rich, just off the pants wealthy, and
Would you say their wealth skyrockets upwards, Will?
yes, it does. It really does. But like I don't want to spoil too much. But kind of people start dying and they have to figure out what's going on basically. I just finished the show. Landon, you're halfway through, and
I
actually
have
Landon,
3 episodes left, I believe. I think
You
I
have
just
3.
finished. I just finished episode 5.
I really want to know your thoughts so far.
So I have to preface it where like I'm a huge Mike Flanagan fan, like
Mm-hmm.
huge. Like I love all his work. Like I think I've seen probably
Okay, we get it.
well, I've seen most of the stuff he's done. So like, and I really like the show so far, but I think it has some problems. Most of my liking of the show, like all his shows have really good characters, and I think this one still nails that. But absolutely none of these characters are likable in any way, in my opinion. Like they're all really good characters. Like they're well written, they're well acted. It's fun seeing 'cause he uses a lot of the same actors in almost all of his projects, so it's always fun getting to see the actors play different because they typically don't play in like the same similar type of roles. So it's fun getting to see like the actors range. But I don't feel I'm gonna go ahead and do a very small spoiler. If only 5 episodes in,
Do it.
very early in the first episode, it's revealed like this show is told through like essentially like Bruce Greenwood is essentially the main character. He's like the patriarch of the family of Usher, and he is recounting to the district attorney who was trying to like get him. They're like having a conversation late at night, and he is recounting like events that happened over the past 2 weeks and also flashbacks back over the past 30 years. But the show essentially starts at like at a funeral, and all 6 of his children are dead, like his 6 heirs. And then essentially the premise after the first episode, each episode is essentially going through and like it's following like one of the kids as they like their death basically is like covering each that with like a flashback. I don't think that's super spoiler. Like you can basically pick up on that. That's the way it's going to go from like
At the end of the second episode, pretty much.
yeah. So I found it interesting like learning more about the characters, but all of the characters are like in my opinion are like so terrible. Like they're like horrible people where like I feel like in a typical horror show, there's a couple characters you're rooting for to die, but like you're typically like you want to root for
You have like one hero.
like you have like hero character.
Yeah.
And so far through this show, I'm not rooting. There's like one character that's kind of okay-ish, and I kind of like they're intriguing. Like Bruce Greenwood's character is extremely intriguing, well acted, but like they're all kind of terrible people. So it's kind of hard to be like like I'm kind of like I get kind of I felt I'm watching it through with Aubrey and I'm getting excited towards the end of the episode. I'm like, yeah, like how's this guy gonna die? I'm like, oh please, 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 like you know what I mean? Like I want it to happen this way. And like the kills have been great. The kills are awesome. I'm gonna do a little inside thing with Will. They missed an incredible opportunity for like a great line. I think it's episode 3, I think.
Mm-hmm.
There should be a line, and they don't say it, but there's a time where like the person's like, after all, it's just, and they should have said it's just monkey business, but they didn't say that.
Yeah.
And I was so mad at the end of this episode. I was like literally looking around, I'm like, they blew it. They blew the great opportunity for like this amazing line, and they didn't.
Of course, Landon would want a monkey business quote.
No, it makes sense. Like it makes
sense
like,
if you watch the show.
I wanted it so bad.
Landon wanted some monkey business.
Yeah, I like the show a lot. I'm really intrigued to see how it ends. My worry would be that the payoff is not going to be worth. That's my fear. It's that I have a lot of intrigue. It's very intrigue based, like my interest in it, and I'm afraid that like the reveal is maybe not going to live up to what I want it to be. That's my fear. But it's really well shot. The imagery is really cool. It's very creepy, very atmospheric. Like I really, really like it. It's just not like his last project was Midnight Mass, which carried a lot more like emotional weight. Like most of the characters like you were kind of rooting for. There's only a couple that you like really detested. So it's kind of almost a flip flop of that where like you're like, yeah, like all these people are kind of terrible, and I'm not really feeling bad when they die. So I do really like it.
Have either of you guys read the Edgar Allan Poe story?
I have not. So
No.
after finishing it, Will, is it something you'd be interested in reading?
So it would be I would be very interested in reading it. Because I think there is one story I'm familiar with that is represented by the show. Because I think they do a couple of them, if I'm not mistaken. There's
they adapt multiple Edgar Allan Poe stories in the Netflix show.
Maybe I think
isn't the Netflix show just based off of one of his works, or is that not? I thought that isn't there just one book called?
Well, there's one called The Fall of the House of Usher, but I mean,
I think there's also a couple. I don't want to spoil. I would totally go into it if it didn't spoil something, but it's kind of closer to the end of the series that is one of the stories I reckon. But I think I'm very interested because I want to know if it's more captivating than what the show was.
Oh, okay.
Because you're saying that you weren't captivated by it, correct?
I was so this is where it's weird, right? Where there are parts of the show that I think are really well done, and there are parts of the show that I think, like Mike Flanagan is obviously a very talented writer in a lot of ways, but I also think he, imagine if, I don't know, Midnight Mass had some flaws.
Midnight Mice.
Midnight Mice.
Sorry, Midnight.
I would get down with that. I get down with Midnight Mice. Like,
Midnight Mice.
Oh yeah.
Midnight Mass had some flaws. Imagine if you took those flaws, like amped it up to 100, and that's how I think like the Fall of the House of Usher is, because Midnight Mass is kind of carried by its positives, and that's kind of missing in the Fall of the House of Usher. Goodness gracious, I can't speak. But what I'm trying to say basically is that you notice a lot of the cracks almost a bit more because of you're missing, like you said, like I totally 100% agree with you. You're missing the really good characters, and you're missing the almost emotional investment. With Midnight Mass, is almost a perfect combination of like really good characters, emotional investment, and intrigue. Fall of the House of Usher only has intrigue, pretty much. And like, as somebody who doesn't like watching people die that much, even in horror movies, watching like
is that a dig?
No, it's just like watching like okay, excuse my language, but watching pieces of shit, like die piece of shit deaths like is not something that like resonates with me a lot. And that's kind of the crux of the show. And I think, Landon, what you'll see in the last 2 episodes, mainly the last one, I think you'll see why I actually don't like the show that much. In fact, like I said in the chat, that it would be like a 6 out of 10 at best. I think that's being generous the more I think about it.
Okay.
I think
Mostly, I've been really enjoying watching it. Most of what's carrying me is intrigue, though. Like it's like one of those things. If the ending's not, if I don't like the ending, like it could fall like very low for me. Like so.
Yeah, I think we should talk about it again when you finish.
I'll be done within the next few days, probably.
Okay, cool. Because there's some interesting things about it, but I also have like a very almost harsh critique of the last episode that I want to share. So
okay, I'm interested. I'm also glad like I'm watching through with Aubrey, and then like I'm hoping that like if this is one of his not as good shows, then we can go like to like better ones and like can build from there, as opposed to like so. But it's definitely it's
There's one character I do really like though. It's Mark Hamill's character.
Oh yeah, Mark Hamill's character is awesome.
Yeah.
He's cool. Yeah, the voice he does is great. Like
You sound like the Joker.
Closer to the Joker than Luke Skywalker.
Yeah. He plays like the family's.
Like
he plays like the
opposites.
family's like shadowy attorney. He's like their like really like sharp attorney that like is doing all like their cleanup work.
Nice.
He's pretty cool.
Yeah,
as cool as like an attorney for like a rich pharmaceutical family could be. You know. Yeah. I think Bruce Greenwood's really good in it too. And then the actor that plays like the main, I don't know his name. The actor from Midnight Mass. I like his character. Like his portrayal as the younger.
Oh, Riley from Midnight Mass, right?
Yeah.
Is he also in Midnight Mice?
He is. He voices one of the mice.
Okay.
It's based on Three Blind Mice. You know, the nursery.
Yeah, dark adaptation.
Yeah, it's very dark adaptation.
Yeah. So I'm intrigued to see how it plays out. I'm skeptical. I'm worried that I'm not gonna like love the ending though. So I'm really enjoying watching it. It's also fun to watch it with another because like we've just been talking about the episodes. Like, oh, where do you think it's going? Like, so, but the emotional resonance isn't there. I want to feel bad. Like, I want to feel bad when characters are dying, but like they're making it so hard to like root for any of the characters. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
typically each episode plays out like this is why you should be happy, like, or this is like each episode's like, you know, like you can kind of tell at the start of each episode, like, oh yeah, this character's dying this episode. They kind of like lay it out like where it's fairly obvious,
Like set up a little too
yeah,
much.
like it's set up like it's like, oh, like we pretty much like Aubrey and I've pretty much been able to predict like after like each episode we're like, yep, this is the character's going to die because like it starts focusing on them more, and then like throughout the episode they proceed to like demonstrate why they're a terrible like I would find it more intriguing if like some of the characters were I'm like, oh, I don't want this person to die. They don't just, you know what I mean? Like that would make it more empathetic if some like, but all of his kids are kind of like terrible. So like, along with, you know,
but do they deserve death,
family.
Landon?
I would say some of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to think if any of them. They're all pretty horrible, like to be honest, so far that I've seen. Like
I think
degrees.
Legitimately, I don't think there's a single one that I can actually empathize with, and that's saying a lot.
That's saying a lot because that's Will saying easily. That. Bleeding heart Will over here.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying like. Never mind.
I'm just kidding, Will.
Yeah,
Dave, you made him stop talking.
So
he'll start talking again.
Hey.
Hey, man. Stop it! You're hurting him.
you might like it, Dave. You might want to check it out. I don't think.
Yeah,
you would like it.
I will.
Violent.
I'll probably look into
I don't
it.
like violence.
I'll probably look into it at some point.
Anti-violence.
If I ever get Netflix again. So
I ended up having to re-up. I had to get my own account. I snapped just to watch this show.
I will probably read the story though. I love Edgar Allan Poe.
Mr. Poe.
Yeah.
Mr. Poe himself.
I'm a big Poe head.
Okay.
That's what we call ourselves.
No. Yeah, you call yourselves that. Nobody else calls you that.
Yeah,
and the only reason I'd renew Netflix is probably the
Witcher season 4, right, Mick?
Stranger Things.
I'll probably cancel.
That Liam Hemsworth. Yeah.
Probably cancel mine after I watch through like this and like Midnight Mass. I'll probably just recancel it. I didn't miss it. I just wanted to watch like we watched the first episode and like reworked my parents' account. And then we went on like the next night to watch. And it was like, oh, you know, and I'm like, all right, well, I'm like, okay, I guess I'll shell out my $15.
They waited until you were like halfway through the season. Okay, now let's tell them.
Yeah, so I don't know. And then I also keep on spooky things. I finally watched the original Evil Dead. So I thought was like awesome. Like it's like I know that movie came out as like NC-17. It was supposed to be like super scary. I thought the movie was actually kind of funny.
I mean, it's cheesy. It's not anywhere near as funny as the later Evil Dead movies. But the first one in particular is the most horror movie, I would say.
What year did it come out?
I think it's 1980, right?
Is it that long ago?
Yeah, it was a long time ago. I think it's 80 or 82 or something. But
got some great practical effects.
Yeah.
But yeah, you need to see
it's weird. What?
You need to see the second one now.
Yeah, I almost watched it last night, but I was already pretty late. They're pretty short movies. I was about to just run the next one, but then I got tired. But I love it. The practical effects are awesome. The movie's like kind of. I feel like the effects like they're cheesy, but like I feel like they're like actually like I like when it's like practical effects. So like it felt like kind of like The Thing almost like like not as good, but like
somehow like creepier.
Yeah, like
I feel that way about Little Shop of Horrors.
Okay.
movie.
I need to watch them. I haven't
Maurice.
seen that one. Is that Rick Moranis? Is that Rick Moranis?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's so many like weird practical effects that just have always like creeped me out every time I think about it.
Yeah.
And it's a cheesy, kind of dated movie, but it's still like, yeah, some of that just doesn't sit well with me in my dreams.
Yeah. So, and just like Bruce Campbell, like
Yeah.
he's just so good. Like,
Does Sam Raimi make a like little cameo?
I don't know if he did in that one or not. I know his brother's in that one. I think it's something. I think it's like
Hoffman. Yeah.
I think his brother's in like all of his movies. I think, right?
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah.
That's
And he's the sheriff in The Quarry.
Shoot it! No.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Young Bruce Campbell looks way too much like Daniel Jones. Also, in my opinion, like it was like comical. Like I wanted to send a picture of like him like blood soaked, be like Daniel Jones when he has to like show up to play behind his like O line.
Oh,
man.
I lied. I also would get Netflix again for the new Last Airbender show, the live
Okay.
action one.
Okay, when's that come out?
I think it's supposed to come out next year. They keep revealing like cast images of people in their actual on-set costumes. and stuff.
Are they bringing back the kid from the movie?
Frick no.
Huh.
Man, so awful.
I hate when movies recast people.
Stick to continuity.
Yeah, stick to the original actor.
Oh man, that movie's so bad.
I've never seen it. I never will.
You should see it just for how bad it
No, I don't think.
It's probably the worst acting I've ever seen.
Really?
It's so bad, and like a
Just
major
from him,
in a major
block
block.
characters.
Everyone's bad in it.
Yeah.
It's poo poo.
Why did you
said
watch the
worst
movie?
acting you've ever seen, and I immediately thought of Foam Metal Jacket.
Why'd you do it?
my
Why?
breakout role.
Why?
I can't imagine trying to get young Colby to act in anything. Was that like horrible, Dave?
No, it wasn't. It was a fun
come on, be
experience, and
honest.
I was not trying to get
If,
stuff. The whole point of that is that it was like a
Dave promised
cheesy
him he'd be a
spoof,
movie star.
a cheesy spoof of war movies. So I didn't want it to be like that
Wow.
compelling.
War?
So I wanted them to try to
Winning War's
play
a
it
joke.
straight, and for the most part, they did. I mean, and it was a lot of kids acting in the movie. So I would not be surprised if Avatar had much worse acting than Foam Metal Jacket.
Yeah. Well, the main actor, that was his first acting role. He was just a martial arts kid, and they found him. And they were like, "Hey, he could be in a movie."
Has he been in anything else?
I don't know.
I wonder how much he was paid for the movie. Hopefully a lot. Hopefully he made a ton of money.
Why? So he never has to act again.
Well, yeah, like I don't know if you're gonna get like panned and made fun of that much. Like at least he'd be like, yeah, I made like I made $5 million.
I feel like it's definitely. There's no way it's $5 million.
Oh, like, even
It's
for
probably like
$100,000.
$10,000 knowing like Hollywood studios.
Yeah, it's probably very little. I mean, if anything, when I hear about that movie and I hear people panning it, it's always against Shyamalan.
Yeah,
Like I feel like he gets the majority of, which I feel like he should.
yeah. Well, at least Shyamalan always gives his actors good dialogue to use. So like, at least they had that to work with.
The George Lucas dialogue script school.
Yeah, dialogue is not his strong suit. He's a good idea man. He's a great idea man, in my opinion. Like
Who are we talking about now?
Shyamalan. Like I feel like his concepts are great.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Like even his newest
What?
movie, like even like his
No.
newest movie was like a good concept.
I will kill you.
I haven't seen that one, but anybody else watch anything spooky? Spooky season?
No, I don't. I don't embrace this time of year. I
Oh, forgot
condone it.
you're a
Or I don't
Scrooge.
condone it. I condemn it. Yeah.
I don't think I've watched any horror movies yet this year. Yeah.
Oh, I should watch The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yes.
And then when it's Christmas time, I'll watch The Nightmare Before Christmas again.
Great idea.
And then at Easter, I'll watch A Nightmare Before Christmas.
Thanksgiving. What's stopping him?
I actually
There
hate
needs to be more Thanksgiving horror movies. I think there's a couple, but there needs to be more.
Isn't there one coming out this year?
I think there is, yeah.
Isn't it called Thanksgiving?
It might be.
I thought that was one of those romantic comedy movies that have like a bunch of different storylines.
I don't think so. I think I saw
Thanksgiving,
like,
Julia Roberts,
the
George
holiday,
Clooney,
I
Valentine's
think it
Day.
was
10 other famous actors.
Yeah.
Paul
Keira
Rudd,
Knightley.
Seth Rogen.
I saw like a scary
Jack
Abraham
Black.
Lincoln in the trailer, so I don't know.
What would be?
Yeah, the new one's like about like it's like a revenge thing. Like someone got like trampled the year before on like Black Friday, and I think it's like their like spirit coming back to like murder people at Thanksgiving or something. Like I'm not kidding. Like I watched the trailer. Like,
Yeah, yeah. It's like a,
I think it's gonna be like kind of a comedy horror. Like
What would be the funniest holiday to have one of those holiday movies based off of, where you have like where it's like an ensemble cast that revolves around it?
Like,
My vote is Columbus Day.
it's not a real day anymore. It's not a real day.
Indigenous Peoples Day.
Yeah, no. See, the title of the film is Columbus Day, and then like in parentheses behind it, it says Indigenous Peoples Day, and then that's like that's
Starring
that's
Rob
part of the
Schneider.
plot of the movie.
Clever. Yes.
I get down with that.
I'd probably choose my birthday.
Okay.
Starring Colby Chapman.
What other goofy holidays are there?
Boxing Day.
What even is someone?
I don't know. It's some Canadian thing. Will, what's Boxing
Will's
Day?
like, Will's like, no.
Resident Canadian.
More of a it's a European thing too. It's not just Canadian. It's
I-
when you realize that all your gifts you got were terrible and crappy, so you put on boxing gloves and you punch everybody who gave you crappy gifts.
Dude, we should celebrate
That's
that in the
what Boxing
U.S.
Day
That'd
is.
be awesome.
This is America. You don't need a holiday to punch somebody.
Yeah, you can just do it for fun.
You don't have to wait till the end of the year.
Yeah, but I
I'm
want to
punching
get the
someone
day,
right now.
but I want to get the day off also when I'm punching people.
You know what?
You'll get the
Fair.
day off.
Fair.
Will be a paid holiday. For a paid
Mm,
holiday. Please.
Probably.
It wouldn't be America if you got a paid holiday. So
Wait a minute. Aren't there like 10 paid holidays?
yeah, that's not enough.
But not like every company. Like
The
my last
federal. Like,
when I worked
like-
at Market Equipment, they didn't have any paid holidays. You didn't get paid for
Yeah.
any holidays until
Oh,
1 year ago they changed it where you got paid holidays.
That's
Yeah, you just
Don't
got
kill
to
us.
stay home on Christmas, but
Yeah,
they
like
didn't pay
you
for
were
it.
you got to stay home, but you had to use PTO if you want to be paid for it.
That's so dumb.
Dude,
Or you
that's
could go
messed
into work,
up.
but you could go into work. I think you could go into work, but like you wouldn't get paid time and a half unless you were on call.
What the fart?
So
That's
Messed up.
yeah,
So
It's,
why
I
don't
have
you
to-
why don't you and Colby still work there?
because they suck.
I
They're a
ask
terrible
myself
company that
every day.
encourages drunk driving and other horrible things. You can cut that if you want, but I don't care if it's in
What
there.
company are we talking about?
Market Equipment. Any given day, there's probably at least 5 or 6 of their employees drunk driving on the
Just
road.
sound
at any
clip,
given time.
just sound clip Burger King over every.
No, dude, I'm leaving it in. Let them sue us. Just kidding. Don't sue us.
Yeah, we have no money and no
Um,
lawyers.
Well, we should probably wrap up. We do
Like
want to
represent
do
myself.
a shorter episode tonight.
yeah,
but,
it's going on
yeah.
50 minutes, so
just another classic Landon Ramble episode.
dude, that's every episode.
sorry.
Am I
Landon
right?
Landon Ramble.
Sorry,
Shut up, Colby. Put on some clothes.
No,
but slowly. Put them on slowly.
stop. All
Oh,
right.
so
This has been another episode.
to close, I don't have a lot of details because I wasn't there. But in closing, I want to say that yesterday, Briana flew in the back of an F-16.
Really?
Yes.
Went
cool.
to
Yeah.
the danger zone.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's
I
like,
got to see her
mean-
take off, and they go from 0 to really fast so quickly, and they basically do this. Like, so listeners, I'm making basically an L with my finger, but this is how they take off.
Wow.
And so like I
That's
saw
nuts.
her shoot like straight up into the air. I was like, wow, that
I would-
looks amazing.
Pass out, puke my guts out, wake up again, choke on my vomit, and then puke again. and then pass out again.
Stop.
She
for the eject.
Yeah.
She
I
said
need to get out of here.
she said it was so much fun. They like flew like into the mountains basically, and then like did like really low
they died?
flying.
What?
No. Yes. Yeah. I got to learn from her ghost about how well she did.
That's cool.
No, but she said that they like flew like in canyons in an F-16 like 500 to 1,000 feet off the ground, and they're going hundreds and hundreds of miles per hour. And she said like looking off to the side when they're flying through was just really cool. But
Dude, you're just describing Top Gun Maverick.
yeah, you're right. I actually don't have a wife.
didn't happen.
I made all of this up.
You're like, it's like the
Bird strike.
uncle that works for Nintendo. Dave's like, my wife flew in an F-16. None of us question it because like she's like that actually like
You'll meet her
Bree-
someday.
yeah. So Bree is like officially done something cool. Like we'll never do anything. None of
Oh
us
yeah,
will do
yeah,
anything
no, yeah.
cool
When
stuff
when she was
ever.
talking about it,
Like,
I was like, I'm really excited for her, but I was thinking like, man, that's something I will never be able to do. Like, I will never do that. And she will get to
I've
keep
peaked as a
doing it
person.
over and over and over again.
How'd that make you feel, Dave? Were you angry?
No, I was really excited for her. It was such a cool experience to
Just do body shots.
Yeah.
it was such a cool experience for her. And it
That
sounded
is
like
really cool.
it sounded like it was a blast.
That's
like she really
and
enjoyed
that's
it.
I bet
like
the
a-
adrenaline. I bet the adrenaline rush, insane.
Yeah.
and after
Did they do a
after
barrel
having
roll?
her drive me around in Vegas, that's a perfect role for her.
I don't know
Just
if they
don't
did
give her the stick.
They probably did. She told me that one thing they did is they basically flew towards a mountain and then like went up, like pulled up, and then when they got to the top of the mountain, he like did an invert roll and then came back down
Can I ask you a question?
the other side of the
Can I ask you a
mountain,
question?
basically upside down.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, you can.
Oh my god,
Have you seen Top Gun Maverick yet?
I have.
Yeah, you're just describing Top Gun
Yeah,
Maverick.
that's what I'm saying.
This didn't
It
happen.
happen.
I'm calling BS. Nope. Wrong.
No, look, Maverick had a really fun time on her flight yesterday. I mean, Bree
okay.
had a really fun.
Google.
Her mustache is so cool. It's way cooler than Colby's.
The Miles Tellers. I mean, Colby's.
Yeah, I would love to be able to do something like that, but I would puke so much. I puke on swing sets. I
I
can't.
think you would puke if you went skydiving.
I can't. Probably.
I'd love to go skydiving with you.
Really?
Unless he's,
I think I'd be a miserable person.
Just
to go
let you
skydiving
jump out of the plane first, Landon.
yeah.
with. Then
I already want to go again, even though like I get scared just thinking about it again. Like I get like kind of like a little.
yeah, nah, I'm good. I'm fine with being on the ground.
Anyway, I just wanted to say that she did that because she did
I
it
yearn
yesterday,
for
so it was fresh on the
splash.
mind, and it was really cool. So
I mean, I guess.
Yeah,
it's
that is
okay.
really cool.
anyway, well, thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Hotkeys podcast. We'll be back next week to talk more about movies that Landon watched and TV shows that Will watched and movies that Mick watched and places that Colby visited to and cool things that I didn't do.
And the cruise. The
No,
cruise is coming
no,
up.
It's so close.
And the
It's
cruise.
so
So we went the
close.
whole episode, and then Mick.
We're coming up on 21 days, guys. It's coming up.
We're right there.
All
We're
right,
so
thanks. All right, wait, we're gonna
Almost
go.
eight.
The cruise.
Taste my ninth margarita.
We're gonna leave.
If any of you are going to be on Norwegian Bliss in November, going down to Mexican Riviera, come say hi to us. We'll be on the ship.
Michael's
We'll have our own
room.
booth.
Michael's
Hello,
room
everybody.
number is 5113. All right, bye.
What's
Bye.
your room number?
Colby probably wants his number on the air. He's like, come visit me.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Hotkeys podcast. You can find us on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Castbox, YouTube, and other podcasting platforms. Visit our website, www.hotkeyspodcast.com. Follow us on Twitter at Hotkeys Podcast and join our Facebook group at facebook.com/HKHotkeys. Please like and review us and subscribe to the show on whichever platforms you use. Finally, you can contact us via email at hosts@hotkeyspodcast.com.